beautiful afternoon to you. This is Voice of the People, 96.1 FM Abuja. Welcome to Matters. We begin Matters today with World Rounds. Let's have a discussion about the transport union and their lawlessness, how it has been birthed in the FCT. Now, the culture of habitual violence by the Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers members recently spiraled into the Federal Capital Territory when its two factions engaged in a bloody clash over the control of the union and its national headquarters. Now, the decades-long nightmare suffered by Southwesterners in the hands of the transport union thugs and their political patrons have arrived into the FCTS, into our city of Abuja. Residents, the National Assembly and other stakeholders, I would advise, should push back now to avoid the Agberu tyranny that Southwesterners endure. Residents of the Federal Capital Territory should not be complacent or view the unfolding saga as just another intra-trade union leadership tussle. It is much more than that, or at least it seems to be much more than that. It seems to be following a template of state capture notoriously employed by the two major rival, or better put, the two major political parties in the southwest states, where the vital support is being given to, transport union factions, right? Now, the members of these factions then double as party thugs. And we've seen this happen over and over again. They are coercive electoral foot soldiers. Now, that nefarious system is coming into the city of Abuja. Stay with me and I'm going to explain it in more detail. See now, the NURTW National President Tajuddin Barwa and the former National Vice President Tajuddin Agbede are vying for control of the union. As usual, apart from the litigation, rival suspension and expulsion orders, the union members' instrument of choice in the contest is always violence. During the clash at the union's headquarters, national headquarters, one person died and several others were injured. Unfortunately, the police and the Department of State Services, instead of even-handed and stern law enforcement, they have exhibited what we would like to term maybe a worrisome partisanship. Now, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyansin Wike, the police, and the DSS, right? They have all I apologize for that break. Just before then, I was saying the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyansin Wike, the police and the DSS, they have to rise above politics. They should not allow the unions to afflict residents with the extortionist, violent transport unions, the way that Lagos and other southwest cities have been traumatized. Already, the FCT is facing other security challenges, which include, kidnappings, armed robberies, headsmen, and bandit attacks in the suburbs. Experience in Lagos show how the unions break every traffic rule, cause gridlocks, extort transporters, and engage in political thuggery, petty crime, and cultism. In responding to the fracas, security agencies went ahead to arrest and detain Barwa and 21 others, but curiously left the other rival faction untouched, which is what made us think, okay, what is really going on in this matter? Nigeria's leaders have made the country unsafe by mixing politics, has allowed terrorism and banditry to birth and metastasize in the north. In the Southwest, it has created a monstrous problem with union enforcers, cultists, and land grabbers. In the South-South, criminally minded militants are hijacking the region's struggle for resource control and, aligned with politicians, have become non-state potentates, perpetually acting above the law. According to the International Labour Organization, trade unions are meant to address the needs of workers and collectively bargain with stakeholders to enhance the lives of their members. But in Nigeria, here, my darling country, transport unions specialize in extortion. Membership, payment of dues, charges, and tributes are violently enforced. Union overlords consider parks, routes, vehicles, and offices as conquered territories for self-enrichment. A report once that I went through by the International Center for Investigative Reporting stated that in Lagos, the unions obtain 123 billion naira annually from commercial vehicles. Their activities are estimated to make average transport fares about 3 times higher. All over the Southwest, violence and killings and general mayhem are the handmaidens of these unions. Some stockpile weapons, use drugs openly, and mess up public bus stops and terminals. If we want to progress as a nation, this has to stop. Of the 29 unions affiliated to the Nigeria Labour Congress, only the transport unions routinely ambush transport operators and workers on the roads and forcefully collect dues. The acting IGP Kayode Egbetoku and the FCT Police Commissioner Haruna Garba should not compromise. We will call on them not to compromise. U.S. federal law enforcement officials have investigated and charged Hunter Biden, a son of the sitting president, with criminal activities. That is the stuff of democracy and societies governed by the rule of law. This is what you see in sane climes. Nigerians should join residents to resist the replication of the transport union's lawlessness in the FCT. Southwest residents, especially in Lagos, should also protest against the Agbero tyranny and complacency of governments. Of course, there is crisis in the NURTW. And NLC is accusing the police of bias, and the Nigerian police force is denying the claims. All of this back and forth does nothing to help the nation progress. Now, the Nigeria Labour Congress has accused the police of taking sides with one of the factions in crisis, rocking the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers. The NLC, in a statement on Friday by its acting president, Kabiru Minjibir, claimed that while democratically elected leaders of the NURTW were being detained, the other parties that had been the other parties involved in the clash have been discreetly released. Now, the NLC expressed sadness over the violence at the National Secretariat of the NURTW, saying that the NLC is also alarmed by the police's handling of the matter. Now, our investigations suggest undue favoritism by the state in enforcing peace. We are perturbed to learn that the democratically elected leaders of the union are being detained while the other parties have been discreetly released. Justice demands equal treatment in conflicts of this nature. I continue to quote, "We urgently call upon police authorities to promptly release the democratically elected union leaders from detention and conduct a fair investigation into the violence. Our nation cannot afford to entertain any semblance of impunity or bias, especially at this critical juncture. Let us refrain from exacerbating an already precarious situation with actions that may be construed as partiality towards illegality." Now, The NLC in a statement said it held the state and the police accountable for what it termed their inaction and unwarranted interference in the internal affairs of the union, adding that, the established statutory avenues for resolution exist and should have been followed, but it appeared that authorities were disinclined to adhere to them. Meanwhile, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command has denied allegations of bias in its arrest of rioting factions of the NURTW in Abuja on Tuesday. Now let's look at that angle. The spokesperson of the FCT Police Command, that is SP Josephine Ade, she spoke with our correspondent in a telephone interview on Friday night, and she stated that the police made arrests in relation to those found in connection with criminal conspiracy, culpable homicide, and public disturbance during the riot without taking sides. Now, Ade went ahead to state that the police were not biased in their arrest of the suspects. Arrests were made based on the charges of criminality, conspiracy, culpable homicide, and public disturbance leveled against them. They caused a breakdown of law and order, and the police were deployed to restore peace, and that was when they were arrested. The question I'm going to be asking now is, which way Nigeria? Which way are we going? What are we doing? Are we still playing politics with our lives and with the future of this nation? Are we ready to take the bull by the horn and fight illegality right in the face? I remember the reactions last Thursday, actually. Thursday was when the incident happened. I remember the reactions we got all over social media, and even in the streets, people were appalled.